Hello everybody, I'm going to do a little lesson on using, actually on the materials, charcoal materials, to answer some questions that I'm receiving emails and Facebook messages in regards to exactly, just the different types of charcoal. So this is one of our studio boxes with charcoal, and actually something that's not supposed to be here is in here. So these are our charcoal, and then I have this other box that needs to be cleaned out because there's staples in here and everything, but some other things that I'll be showing you. We keep everything in cigar boxes. As you can see, also these tortillions, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about pastels, and that'll be it. Oh, and charcoal pencils, which there's all kinds. So to begin with, charcoal, as you know, is a natural resource that can be modified to serve purposes of in art endeavors. This is a piece of charcoal, super light, that was made in our wood stove. And so, as you know, charcoal comes from wood and different minerals under the earth, etc. And if you use a piece of regular charcoal like this, it will draw very lightly, much like vine charcoal. And vine charcoal is a charcoal that you always want to begin drawing with. And you can see that it's sort of shiny, just like this real charcoal is sort of shiny. So this has very little additives, and it's also extremely light and very light to draw with and erase with your hand. See? So quite light with this one and this. Then we have certain charcoals like this. This one too is a little shiny, a little bit grayish, that you can continue with, but you can see it's a little bit more waxy. It feels waxy to my hand as I work with it. Just going to move the camera a little bit so you can see them over here. This is another type. It actually looks very similar, but it's a little bit chunkier. And then we go to the more compressed charcoal. So these, you can usually find these round ones. They're very common. And these two that I call chunky charcoal, although these are chunkier, but I don't use these in the studio really at all, except with very young children. So this is the one I refer to as the chunky charcoal, and the way that it draws is so dark. You see how dark that is? So this is really wonderful for creating values and contrast, as opposed to this, because no matter oops, yeah, it's not the one, this one. No matter how much I rub with this one, okay, that will do this, it'll disperse, whereas this one kind of retains that darkness, and it's just much richer. I hope that in the camera you can see that. I can keep adding to it and it will get quite dark, whereas this one, I just keep adding to it and it continues to disperse, and it just doesn't bring you to that nice dark that you want. So you want to have all your contrast. Then we get to these General's charcoal. Now these they're so tight, and they have the gum additive that they can write on these. And so just like with a pencil where you have the 2B, 4B, 6B, etc., that's how these are. So the 2B will be a little bit finer and harder to move around than a 4B. And I can't see the numbers because they've been used up, but you can see just by using them. Oh, my hands are dirty, so that's kind of hard, but just by rubbing them, the ones that rub less are the ones that are tighter, so more like the 2B or the 4B, and the ones that rub out more would be more like the 6B, but nonetheless, these will not rub, as you can see. As you can see, they will not rub much at all, whereas this does. So these you use for detail, okay? So these also are very similar to Conte. That's C-O-N-T-E. And Conte comes in black, and that's what I have in my box over here, black and white, and also red. Black, white, and then this red thing here. And so again, these are very hard. Let me do a white here. And there's all things you can draw on, a gray paper with this scale and move it around. You can somewhat blend it, not as much as that other one, but still you could do a whole drawing with just using this sienna, and they can be quite beautiful. The white you can use to blend, you can use it for highlights in some areas, and I may do a video on that later, drawing on colored paper, colored textured charcoal pencil with these. But these are, like your traditional ways of and implements to work with. Then you have a kneaded eraser. Now, a kneaded eraser is not to erase with. In particular, it's used for adding light, so highlights and lowlights and reflected light to your drawings with the charcoal. You can see how easily it picks up from this one, which is more like a vine charcoal, and this, even though it's quite dark, you'll see that also it picks up really beautifully. And so you can imagine how nice that will work with charcoal drawing. Now for this, it just really doesn't do much at all. So again, this is more for detail. Now, when you make a drawing in charcoal, you have the option of working with like these, the Conti or the hard compressed General's charcoal, or you could also use these pencils. This pencil, I really like these, except for it's such a pain to, open them up, to sharpen them, because that happens, and I don't know, there's got to be easier ways to do it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and you don't want kids to get a hold of it because they will pull the string until your whole pencil comes apart. So this one has the lead like all the way down to here because a child got a hold of that string. But these are quite nice. I like them for detail even better than the Conti because they do move around. You see how it really does move around. So you could do, let's say we're doing an eye here. You could go in with small detail and still, get pretty playful and work around what you're going to have in here. And go in with the eraser quite easily to remove. Okay, so now if I were to use this, either the Generals or the Conti, I can go in with this to get my darkest darks, and that won't really readily move around, and it does kind of bring it a little bit darker. Let's see, like that. And this too, by the way, is where you could go in. For example, I could add some white into the eye, just to make it more realistic, But this would be when you've been working for a while and you've got everything going on here that you need to have going on. So I did this fairly quickly. Use maybe the red just for a little bit of interest here. But again, these are good pencils. Let me get another charcoal pencil. This one is a Conti. So this one, you can see right here, it says Conti. So this one too will be a little bit harder to move around, so I don't really, see how that's not coming off, so I don't really work with them too much. There are also these pencils that are white, so it's the same thing as this, except again, this is tighter, this is a little bit more chalky, will move around a tiny bit easier than the other ones. Let's see, that versus if I do this line here, although there's so much charcoal going on, but you can see that it became a little bit more gray. So, the main thing is just to play around with all of them and see what you come up with. Now, as far as the chalk pastels, oh, I wanted to show you these two. These are, it's an old box. I don't know if they even are in the market anymore, but this is how the chunky charcoal, the one that's really dark, will come in a box like this. And one thing too is when you're working with them, you could just rub your finger on them when you are, going in with your details, and if you're kind of hesitant to go into your drawing, you can just with your finger add, so that you're not creating more lines, because maybe you don't want to create a line, you just want it to be a dark shadow. And and two, you just go like that and just some little spaces, and then rub it out. So again, it's I love working with charcoal because it's so moldable and pliable, and you can do so much with it. So let's say that you've done this drawing and then you want to add some background color. You could work with these type of chalk pastels. So aren't these beautiful? Pretty. So this is Alpha Color, so that's a pretty good brand. And a good brand will get you a richer color. And I'm going to show you this, and that's a Rembrandt. Don't know if I'm saying that right, but these are the best pastels that you can find. And here they are. They're pricey. These were a gift from the mom of one of our students, and I'm so grateful. What a treat. What a treat. So I just want to show you the difference in the saturation of color. So these two oranges, well, they're slightly alike, not quite, but at least you can see the difference in the saturation. Those has more of a pink. Let's see, that blue and that blue, they look more different on the camera than they do when I'm holding them in my fingers. Wow. Because this purple looks exactly like the purple when I see it in person. Well, let me use the blue. So I'm just going to use the blue to show you. So the way that you use these is, for background, it's not like that. You're actually going to use it more like sideways, like this, and then move your finger around in a circular motion to get it in there. Now my fingers are dirty, so it's going to get some brown in there, but again, I'm just a quick demonstration of the materials. And when I use chalk pastel, usually I tell people to, whether I'm teaching or I'm doing it, just use a couple of colors. So don't just use one. So if you're doing a blue background, you know, use like a lighter blue and a darker blue. So here's the other one. I'm just going to add it over here. And look, you can already see like a lot of chalk comes out. And it's just a much richer color. And I used a lot less than here, but you know, like the difference in the intensity is just amazing. So just to recap, if everything's blowing, if you're going to do a drawing in charcoal, you can look at my other charcoal video, but just to, it's a little bit more detailed. Oh, and wait, I have these here just to show you. These really, the tortillions you should use when you want to blend with pencil. So when you blend with charcoal, you don't really, you blend with your fingers because your fingers need the oils. Charcoal needs the oil for you to move around. The pencil does not. And when you want to clean this, this is not a good thing to do, you know, to tear it apart like this. It's not necessary. It'll just kind of wear everything down. But, you know, after a while, you might want to do it. But look, the whole thing comes apart. So not too good. So this is just a piece of sandpaper. But these are good for cleaning this. And you can buy just a regular piece of sandpaper at the hardware store. That even, like for ours that are so dirty, because we use them with students and everything too, you know, sometimes it's better to use a rougher sandpaper piece and then go to this. But if it's just your stuff, you know, and you keep it pretty clean, then, you know, every once in a while just sharpen it up. See how that got rid of that little bit right there? Clean it up, sharpen it with this. So that's what this is for. Again, this is for when you're using pencil.